Hi everyone, how's everyone doing here today? Just wanted to say thank you for watching, and today I wanted to talk about the fact that words still matter. This was something I posted about a while back, and unfortunately we're still seeing instances today going on. One of them recently was at one of the CPAC events, and they had Michael Knowles, who's basically a failed actor turned into like a political commentator for the Daily Wire, working under Ben Shapiro. And his target was the transgender community, where the way he phrased it is that there can be no middle ground, between trans and non-transgender people, and that the only solution is calling for the transgenderism to be eradicated. That's how he put it. And he received a lot of criticism over that, and then later kind of, I don't know if I didn't hear him specifically, but he did walk it back a little and claim that he wants to get rid of transgenderism, but not do anything against transgender people. And that's still problematic. And looking at the Daily Wire with some of the other hosts, with some of the comments that they've been saying recently, you have Candace Owens. She's advocated for eugenics, which is basically a type of selective breeding. That's a word that you use according to people that, in Korea, they supposedly do that to make offspring that are more intelligent in mathematics. Just a brief read up on the history, it was back in the 20th century, it was discredited as unscientific and racially biased, especially after the adaptation by Nazis during World War II to justify their treatment of the Jews. And yet she's advocating for that, which, I don't know, to me it sounds a little barbaric. And then our favorite one is Matt Walsh, who put out a lot of comments based on a Boston Children's Hospital and spreading misinformation about gender-affirming care. And it got to the point where the staff that worked there, they were receiving death threats, and somebody even made a bomb threat to it. And Walsh also got involved in a Tennessee hearing regarding a bill on banning late altering trans medical treatment to minors. And just overall, somebody questioned him about his medical background, what if his knowledge was, which obviously isn't. He doesn't have any. His only defense was that, he has common sense and they taught him how to read. Well, gee, unlike the rest of us that, they skipped over reading and basic arithmetic. Just to also give you a better idea, he also got on the Joe Rogan show, where he talked about kids on puberty blockers and other hormone care. That was claims that it was in the millions, but when Joe checked, it was actually only in the thousands. And that's kind of where I get to my point, is that words do matter. And when you spread misinformation and when you start making threats, Walsh also called for recently the death penalty of certain doctors that give transgender care. He thinks they should be criminally prosecuted, and given the death penalty. Why do I say words matter? Because we've seen in the past how political violence erupts based on some of the things that people say, especially through fear-mongering and hate rhetoric. And that maybe to them it's just words, it's to them just expressing their opinion, but they are smart enough to know that these words can have destructive consequences, specifically against the transgender community, which they're targeting. And Michael Knowles, made the distinction, or claiming that he was talking about transgenderism, not transgender people. But some of their views, and they have a lot of viewers, I have to admit, some of them, let's be real, aren't intelligent enough to make that distinction. And, we've seen all these examples where some people who are radicalized or extremists will actually commit acts of violence on their behalf. Or because, they felt compelled to do so, hearing some of the misinformation that they spread. They spread their hate talk, and that gets people to take action against whoever it is they're targeting, in this case, the transgender community. And like I said before, they know this, okay? Maybe they're mean, maybe they say a lot of stupid things, but I wouldn't necessarily call them stupid. They know by this that can trigger certain people to commit acts of violence. And for the people committing the violence, guess what? When it goes bad, when it goes south, when you get caught, you're the one that's paying the price for it. You pay the consequences while they walk away scot-free and continue to spew more misinformation, more hate. Where do you draw the line here? Because I'm all for free speech, I really am. And if you have issues with transgender or you have questions about it, it's okay to ask. And if you want to express your opinions, that's fine. But do it based on scientific fact. Do it based on evidence. None of these people are doing that. And the fact that they do all this hate talk, the biggest irony I see is that they are all on the Daily Wire, like I said before, the show by Ben Shapiro. Shapiro's Jewish, and these people are bringing up stuff like this, calling for the eradication of a group of people, where Candace Owens talked about eugenics, which is practiced by the Nazis, and he doesn't seem to have a problem with that. If he's spoken out against it, I have yet to hear it. So by all means, put something into the comments. What we have to do as a society is call these people out for their lies. Let it be known that we do not accept hate speech. I realize that's, like putting a Band-Aid on a bullet wound, it's not going to really do much. They're going to continue to spew their hate talk. But the more we call it out, that is a possibility of decreasing it. Okay? How better to understand transgender people? Well, why don't you do some research, or better yet, talk to a medical expert, see what it truly is all about. Don't be quick to jump to conclusion. If you're just going to do a Google search to just look for articles that match your beliefs, if you're somebody that's truly against them, then you're not looking for facts, you're not looking for information, you're just looking for an excuse. And just like these people do, they'll give you an excuse. They'll spread lies, they'll spread misinformation, they'll call to actions about some subliminal way, and then later roll it back, say, well, I didn't really mean it like that. But unfortunately, we're at a point where some people are too radical and too extreme to take these not just as words, but as, recommendations, or in some cases, commands to be executed. And they do the executing. So we need to call it out and stop with the hate talk, because in the end, transgenders, they are people like us. They identify a little differently, and just like anyone else, they want to live their lives. We saw similar hate talk back in the day when homosexuals were coming out, where the gay population was, coming out because they got tired of being discriminated against. And a lot of misinformation got spread on them, leading to violence. And we're still seeing it to this day. It surprises me that I still have to talk about stuff like this, that we can't just learn to evolve and learn to accept people for who they are. You really have a problem with transgender? Say what the problem is, and more importantly, think of a solution, okay? But calling for executions, calling for eradications, or just relating to stuff that Nazis did, that's not the answer. That's just feeding the problem. That is just fueling it. That is hate talk. And like I always say, you take the hate out of the equation. Anyway, thank you for watching. I really hope you understand.